Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me. It says I'm live, and so I am, and hopefully you are as well. Looking a little sun drenched today. I was out on the North 40 mowing. I was mowing the North 40 today, and got a lot of sun. Looking a little weathered today. That's okay. That's life. Wrinkles, warts, and all. How was everyone? Good to see you, at least. Good to see you etherically. Good to be here, as always. Perhaps we'll be joined by the one and only Jasper tonight. Quite possible. We're going to wait for a few people to mosey on in here. I get to check out chat, which is cool. Let's see, who do we have here? We got my man Ryan. He says he's an introspective woodworker, although that is not really my experience with Ryan. He's got a little bit of extroversion in the mix too. He'd be intro extro version. Let's see who else we have here. There's PB. There's my man Thomas Jordan, EC 2189. Kaku in the house. Mary. I was calling you Mary Olmstead. Hello, Mary. Nice to see you. Let's see. JJ Rain de Blanc, a very fine artisan. Check out her Twitter feed to check out her work. Super cool stuff. Lils is here. What's going on? Moon, Venus, and Mars and Leo. Maybe that's why I went out into the sun today. Maybe that was it. It was all that Leo energy. Speaking of Leo, we got Dawn Hart of the Sun in the house. WC Ray, what's going on, brother? We got more Sun, Julie Sunshine, 333. And Julie Sunshine happens to be a Leo. There's a theme here. We're working on a theme tonight. Miss Nikki, what's going on? Yes. I got a serious melanin shortage. I'm probably like the whitest white guy you'll ever see. FUP77, what's going on? Hope things are going well for you up in the northwestern part of the world. There's my man, Thor by the door, wrench and all. Good to see you, Steve. Christy, what's going on, Christy? And then speaking of up in the northwest, there's Francis Bryan, hello, Frank, Double V, Victoria V, Charlotte Chavo, also here. I like it how they turn up the heat in the media when it's been a cool summer. Where do we start? Tondar, what's going on, Tondar? There's my man, Seeger. What's happening? Good evening from the Huxley Memorial Happiness Tent. I guess there was a big kerfuffle about a soccer match or football match, as they say. The England versus Italy in it. I got to penalty kicks. Apparently, Prince William did some kind of sigil. I can't even do it. You know, I'd be a shitty person to have in a secret society. Because I can't do those things. I think Prince William did something like this. There's a picture of him doing that while the kicks are happening. So much for that. That didn't really work very well. Billy, you better work on it. Maybe you should have gone two hands. Should have done the two-hand thing instead of one. Let's see, who else? Hey, there's Ani Brito. What's going on, Ani? Good to see the Crimmies are here. Denise Walker. Hello, Denise. Great to see you. Do drop in. Leo Rising. Wendy Eater. Charles Mazak. What's going on, Charles? Raven Rain, R2. She's here. Thanks for checking in. Elizabeth W. from Chirac. I love that. That's funny. There's CC Jones. And we got the feeling another psyop for the peak summer. Denver All-Star Baseball about finding guns. Oh, is that what they did now? They found some people with guns. Is that it? Oh, okay. They're just going to hammer this thing, right? It's going to be Maxwell Silver Hammer with all this stuff now. Yes, I believe Italy did win, if I'm not mistaken. Marianne Smith checking in from San Francisco. What's going on? All the way from the heart of the Tenderloin. Susie Gemini. What's going on, Susie Gemini? Jelena. Hey, Jelena. Been thinking about you. Haven't seen you on Twitter. Glad you're here. Let's see. Maurice de Mer. Maurice de Mer. The man, he's here. Wills was throwing up gang signs like an absolute rabbi. I know, right? He was sigiling out, man. He was sigiling out. He couldn't carry it, though. Somebody on the Italian side probably had better magic. They probably had better mojo on the Italian side. They had the ghost of Ronnie James Dio on the Italian side. Ronnie James Dio died pretty young, actually. I realized that. He died a while ago. For all of you Rainbow fans who love Ronnie James Dio, or Black Sabbath fans who love Ronnie James Dio, I was never really a Ronnie James Dio. Nice guy, though. Nice guy. I've seen interviews with him. He's a very nice guy. Not my favorite voice in, I don't know. I'm not big into the histrionic heavy metal vocal stuff. And that's just is not my scene. It's one of the reasons why I couldn't get into Iron Maiden. I know that's like a sacrilege, but I couldn't get behind Bruce Dickinson's voice. And I know a lot of people love Bruce Dickinson. The band itself is pretty good, I have to say. But the histrionic vocal sometimes, even Judas Priest with Rob Halford, I couldn't get into it. By the way, I saw Judas Priest's first tour of America. They opened for Led Zeppelin. Anyway, Ronnie James Dio seemed like a very nice guy, though. But I do like Man on the Silver Mountain. That is a rocking tune. Very, very. I know a lot of people really love that Rainbow Rising track. I'm actually more of a Graham Bonnet guy. I like Graham Bonnet. I like that phase of Rainbow. Okay, who else do we have here? Yay, Forza Italia. It was such a good game. England couldn't diversify talent that win games. So didn't England have a very diverse squad? Isn't that it? Isn't that what was going on with England? Oh, we got a Misaki in the house. What's going on, brother? Betsy Hakey Russell, one of my favorite Twitter posters, is here. Got a lot of Twitters. Team Twitter is here tonight. Dean Mead, what's going on, Deanie? Welcome. Gas 1123 checking in from the power plant control room on night shift tonight. Okay, you got to stay focused, though. There are people that depend on your attention and your focus. We watched Beavis and Butthead, the Beavis and Butthead movie, Beavis and Butthead, Do America, whatever that movie was. Beavis and Butthead is genius. I'm sorry. It's just utter genius. It's utter genius. Mike Judge, one of the great creators of the 20th century, bar none. Let's see, Daniel, what's going on, Daniel? Who else do we have here? Our diversity was not our strength. Yeah, man, it seemed like England was a little bit better when they were, I don't know, maybe a little more Anglified, just saying. Right? Just saying. Even Andy Cole was from England. You could have got your little diversity hit with Andy Cole. I'm not a huge follower of English soccer. I know a few players. They've had some good squads. But today, it was not a... Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of diversity and versus non-diversity, the Nigerian basketball team beat the American basketball team yesterday in kind of a warm-up round for the Olympics. Oh, how about that? The Nigerian basketball team. Now, let's be fair. There are 8 players from Nigeria that actually play in the NBA. But they were locked in. They were definitely locked in and beat a decidedly, well, I wouldn't call it diverse. Kevin Love's on the team. I don't think that qualifies as diversity. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Elizabeth W. Carjack strike teams. Yes. We know what carjack means in this part of the internet woods. Let's see. Lesbian Seagull. I know, right? Lesbian Seagull. Mike Judge was all over this shit. He was all over where things were headed in a big way. And Beavis and Butthead. They're like the extreme version of our 15-year-olds, right? The extreme version, at least for some of us. Z. Hello from Onscario. Ooh. Yeah, I got some crises happening up there. Who else do we have here? Natasha, what's going on, Natasha? Nice to see you. Double V in the house. Azura. Jane and Austin. Hi, Jane. I wonder if Tom Cruise did the quarantine. So Tom Cruise had, I guess, was it yesterday or the day before at Wimbledon, he had two women, one on each arm. And then the next day he had two men, one on each arm. There you go. Here's Tom Cruise being enigmatic at Wimbledon. Meredith, what's going on, Meredith? Meredith's Lucky Stars. She's here. Let's see. The two NBA teams in finals are right there, too. Who else do we have? Carjack strike teams run into potential pissed gun owners. I see potential for FF. Yeah, that's really the perfect storm, isn't it? Sort of like the opening scene of Eyes Wide Shut at the party. Yeah, actually. True. Tom Cruise and Beckham were sitting together at Euro Cup, having a good old time. I do think that that's what they're looking for. Let's see. Figure there's some symbolic meaning behind the Suns versus Bucks. Venus, Lucifer. We're actually going to get into some Luciferian territory tonight. It's actually a good lead-in. Lori Seiler. Hey, what's going on, Lori? Good to see you. Barron Trump is 6'7" tall. And you know what? He's not done growing. Barron Trump will become a giant of Tartaria. By the time he's done, Barron Trump will be 8 feet tall. He will become the king of Tartaria. New Tartaria, it will be Barron Trump. Just wait. You heard it here first tonight. He will be 8 feet tall, and he will become the king of New Tartaria. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. Wait and see. The Nigerians seemed very American. Well, that's because they play in the United States. They played. They played. Eight of them play in the NBA. Probably 4 of them played in Europe. So they're a good team. Who's actually going to? Oh, look at Steve. This is good. I heard the entire English team will receive a trophy anyway. Yeah. How about the American women's soccer team? Holy shit. Man, that was, it's not shocking, but it's a little disturbing. I have to say, it's just slightly disturbing. The disturbing thing was that they were all wearing Black Lives Matter jerseys, warm-up jerseys. So here's where I'm at with this thing. I think that Black Lives Matter should just field their own team. Just field your own team. That's all you got to do. Field your own team. I think, which then, here's how you do it, okay? You go to Patrice Cullors' place up in the canyon up there in just Southern California, and you create your own little autonomous zone, right? BLMistan. Just create it, okay? You just create BLMistan there, and then you have your own team, and then you can sponsor your own team, and you can set, have your own team try to qualify for the Olympics with BLMistan, and then have a separate American team for people or women who really want to be a part of the team. I think that's fair. If you want to go play for BLM, go play for BLM, and have BLM start their own little autonomous zone with Patrice Cullors right there in her little you know, BLM, cabin in the sky in the canyon. I think it's a fair idea. It's amazing how far we've actually I would say fallen. Look, I don't have a problem with people standing up and protesting for something that's really meaningful, like really, really meaningful. Like, how about your freedom, right? That's a pretty meaningful protest. Your right to travel, your right to freely assemble. Those are pretty meaningful things to protest, in my opinion. I don't have a problem with a meaningful protest. And that's a meaningful protest. Yeah, it's a different discussion. It's a very different discussion. And they're essentially paying out taxpayer dollars. So if you want to do that, if you want to do that thing, I guess you could do that. It's a free fucking world, or theoretically it is, right? Theoretically it is. I'll tell you, who's going to get some heat is that one woman who actually stood up. There were two women. One woman didn't put her heart over her hand over her heart. I'll give her props anyway. Give her props. She stood up. She had her hands behind her back. All right, you stood up. The other woman, that woman is like the dude in Tiananmen Square with the tank. She's like that guy. She is right there. Whoever that woman is, I don't know who she is. Thumbs up. I'll tell you what. Not because I'm some raging patriot, okay? There are things about this country I love. There are things about this country that really trouble me. Like big picture stuff. Like regime changes and things like that. Those things trouble me, right? Down and dirty relationships with agents of the Federal Reserve and BlackRock. Those things trouble me. There are things about the country that I'm not really all that down with, but there are things about the country that I am really down with. And I think mostly the people. I think the people here are actually good people. That woman, she's going to be like the Tiananmen Square tank guy. And whoever she is, I salute her, not because she's some raging patriot, because guess what she did? She stood out against the crowd, right? She stood out against this idea of the mob and this kind of group think. And you know what? And I congratulate her for standing up against groupthink, and that's something that we should all aspire towards, because groupthink is not only prevalent, it is the thing right now that is going to probably bring so much inertia to our situation that it's going to be very, very hard for a lot of people to just breathe and express themselves and emote and do that thing. Oh, look who's here. So Jasper's gotten into this new thing now. He doesn't like walking on the floor here. I don't know why. So he leaps around on objects. So now he got up here. You want to leap over here? You can leap over here. Come on, you can make that leap. He's leaping on objects now. It's kind of interesting to watch because he still has some lift. But he's not what he was like 6 years ago. When Jasper was young, man, he could jump. He would do top of the cat tree in one leap. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. There you go. Come on over. Your adoring fans are waiting for you. Come on, right here. There you go. There he is, the astrological cat in the house. The Italians were a superior, good bunch of lads. Sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes the better team wins. All right, who else do we have here? Let's see. It's good to have you back, Seeger. Your wit has been sorely missed. Yes, the astrological grasshoppy cat. Thoughts on John Lamb Lash? Oh, there's a lot of thoughts on Lash. I'm not going to get into him. It's an interesting character, for sure. He's a very interesting character. Yeah. I was the apocalypse of the grasshoppers today. I was their doom today, as I rode the mower. I have a mower I ride here for the North 40. It's the first time I've ever really gotten into riding a mower and watching these grasshoppers just leap out of my way. It's like it must be like a Godzilla. It must be like the end of the world for them when that thing gets fired up. Let's see. Jasper's into part 4. He still has a little left. He still has a little left. Let's see here. Scorpions. I didn't see any scorpions. Group think stink. Let's see. The non-Olympics is going to be like some William S. Burroughs. The Olympics are going to be weird, right? Weird. EC. Hey, JMP. What's going on, Jacqueline? Good to see you. Phoenix changed logo with a black background and a sun. Bucks has the Venus dance pattern within their logo, apart from the buck played as the bovine-like animal. So whatever the Bucks are doing, their symbolism ain't working. Their symbolism ain't working. Not happening. They're going to lose that. They're going to lose that series. Ohm, what's going on? Good to see you. Got a good house here. Let's see. Olympic trials commercials pushing critical race theory. We're in commercials. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, man. Nobody's going to watch those. Nobody's going to watch the Olympics. They will not watch them. They will not. It will be a ratings disaster. They won't have anybody there in the stands. It's going to be weird. There's going to be nobody in the stands. I don't know anybody that's going to sit down and really pay attention to the Olympics because they're just going to use it to hammer everybody with some kind of PC talking point and programming. And, they'll probably wind up forcing people to watch the Olympics like Malcolm McDowell at the end of Clockwork Orange. I think that's what's going to happen. They'll just have people strapped to their chairs with their eyelids peeled open and have eye drops put in there so their eyes don't dry out and just force them to watch the Olympics. I think that's probably what's going to, because nobody's going to watch it. I can't think of, and I used to love the Olympics too. To me, as a kid growing up, the Olympics were cool. But I stopped paying attention to the Olympics. I think probably around 2000, I think I stopped paying attention right around 2000, maybe, was it 2000? I can't even remember. And then they started to stagger the Olympic stuff, and I just don't find them all that interesting anymore. I'll tell you who's really, I was going to play this. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow. George Foreman at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. He won the heavyweight title. And that's when sort of the whole Black Power movement trip, sort of kind of, it didn't really take off, but it certainly was a big buzz there with John Carlos and Tommy Smith and Lee Evans raising the fist for the Black Power sign. They did that. So that was a big deal at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. And you had George Foreman going from each side of the ring with his little flag, waving his flag. The total George Foreman. Again, somebody not falling into groupthink and staying outside of the Mind Forge manacles. Okay, Cheeky Bunky, what's going on? Good to see you, Amy. There's Evan Baker. Can I talk about the South Node and Sag aligning with periods of mass deception that prop up industries? E.g., example given military and medical. Okay, we can take a crack at that. Hey, Natalie, what's going on? Natalie Remington is here. And then there's Paul that Clockwork with Olympics review. There you go. So, the clock is ticking and it's running down on the nodes. So we're going to have a nodal shift in January. So we're getting closer. We're about 6 months out now from these nodes shifting. And the true node is in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. And this has been a running dialogue and commentary on this channel ever since, well, even before it happened. And it's really set up this idea that we're living in a multi-tiered society. And we can even see it now. It's getting even more extreme with the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. And, You've got this CCP agent on CNN, basically telling Americans that they need to feel more pain. Unvaccinated Americans need to feel more pain. And so this is another part of this narrative, which is, creating this two-tier society, or this bifurcation, and splitting up families and splitting up relationships. And with Gemini, it's always mutable, and it's more about information, and sometimes disinformation or misinformation, because there's always two sides of the story. And the two sides of the story are these forces that are vying to get a hold of this narrative around what's going on with the carjacking. And the South Node is when a certain element that's connected to this kind of overall narrative is in decline. So this is a critical one, because the South Node being in Sagittarius means that we're not going to get the truth. This idea of the truth and law, because remember, Sagittarius and the ninth house sets the standard for law. It comes out of like law comes out of Sagittarius. Law comes out of the ninth house. Well, why is that? Why is that, Robert, you ask? Well, because most law tends to come out of religious law, where we have the 10 Commandments. Those are theoretical, laws, right? We have other laws from other religions. We have Noahide laws coming from the Jewish religion. We also have other laws that are connected to the Muslim religion, which are kind of similar to Noahide laws, interestingly enough. So this whole idea of law starts with Sagittarius, and it's a religious kind of decree, right? And then what happens is that it moves into this idea of state or country or city or municipal law, but it's all an offshoot of what we would call religious law, right? Or laws that are based on some form of code of conduct inside of a religion. So those laws become Jasper, you're gonna be Godzilla here. So those laws get commodified. And then what happens is then they get moved over to the next sign, which is Capricorn, and the 10th house. And that's where those laws are enforced. That's where they're basically adjudicated, right? Those laws wouldn't mean anything if you didn't have Capricorn and you didn't have a judge, you didn't have the 10th house. They would mean nothing. They would just be kind of inert. And that's kind of where we are in some ways with the South Node in Sagittarius. There is no standard, there is no law, unless, of course, you go into Gemini, in which case there's a law for thee and a law for me, right? I mean, we've seen that. We've seen that with, these so-called elites, where they get together and they don't follow any kinds of standards around the mask or anything like that. They don't do that. They don't follow their guidelines for social distancing. So that's a real Gemini thing. Like, they got to do that, and then we don't have to do that. Then there's the more extreme version, where you have people who will go out and commit mayhem and basically get a Nike shoe contract for it, versus other people who are law-abiding, who are simply defending their property or the rights of their territory, and they wind up going to jail. And I guess the most extreme version of that would be the whole thing in the Capitol on the 6th of January, where you have, I guess, about 500 people, some of whom were just really innocent bystanders, escorted in by the so-called, law, and allowed to kind of walk around the Capitol, right? You have those people. A lot of those people are still locked up and in pretty harsh conditions. And then you have another group of people who were wantonly burning down cities and tearing down statues and creating mayhem, robbing, stealing, assaulting, mugging, raping, and nothing really happened to a lot of those people. So again, we're in that Gemini world, right? And because the South Node is in Sagittarius, there's no kind of common law. There's no kind of common judgment for these kinds of acts. And that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. And how it relates to things like, well, the military, Sagittarius has to do with things that are generally philosophical, or they're religious, or has to do with these ideas of freedom and honesty and justice. Well, more truth than justice per se. Justice is more kind of the Libra realm. And also dealing with things like foreign countries and foreign involvement. So, we're seeing the retreat of American troops out of Afghanistan, which is a South Node Sagittarius, right? They're being moved out of there. So you're looking at that as kind of an expression of the South Node with the military. Where they're going to go, I don't know. But then now all of a sudden it's another soap opera between, these groups, Al Qaeda. Yeah, it's like they're going to crank up that machine down. And I don't know who's going to take over the poppy trade. That's an interesting question, because essentially that's what we've been there doing. We've been guarding the poppy fields in Afghanistan, and I guess that time is over. Just like how the French were involved in the opium trade in Vietnam for a very long time, and then they left, and then the United States came in and basically took that over. So there's agreements that generally get made. Who's going to take over the resources? Who's going to watch over the resources? Who's going to manage and distribute those resources? I think it's more about that than it has to do with, let's get our men and women home. Let's bring them home. Well, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's just me. But I feel like that's a version. If you're looking at some of the other stuff that's connected to the military right now, like when it comes into things like, joining the military and getting the sex change, that's Chiron and Aries. That is Chiron and Aries. That's a whole other discussion. And Aries deals with the military, and it deals with masculine energy and violence. And we know all that about Aries. And Chiron represents kind of a wounding there, like a wounding of that idea, a wounding of that manifestation, a wounding of that image, right? A wounding of that symbol, a wounding of that operation. So we could have a discussion certainly about that with Chiron. But by and large, the South Node in Sagittarius is this piece now, which gives us no ballast whatsoever when it comes to dealing with anything from a lawful basis. And when you get into Gemini, Gemini is a trickster, right? It is a trickster. It's always inverting things and turning things inside out and on its side. And that's kind of where we are. Now, the nodes will change in January. And we're going to have the true node moving in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, which will be pretty interesting, right? Because we're going to be going from a time where everything is really mutable to a time where everything is not mutable at all. Like with Taurus, it'll be like very clear and very fixed and very, cordoned off in a lot of ways. So there's going to be a lot to do with like resources and money and land and growing. Like all really primary stuff is going to be on the table. And with the South Node in Scorpio, we're dealing with, again, sort of the backside. Now, I actually have some hope for this transit, because when we're dealing with the true node in Gemini and in Sagittarius, we're dealing with mutability, right? Mutability, things are not stable. They're in flux. But with the true node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, we're dealing with fixed energy. And fixed energy means that there are things that are inviolate, right? There are things that are not going to be so, I don't want to use the word wishy-washy, but they're not going to be so transient and editable, right? Editable. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be that way, for better or worse. And I feel like the South Node in Scorpio will bring up a lot of stuff that's been hidden, a lot of things that have been hidden and tucked away. We know what those things are. You get into Scorpio, you get into the underworld, you get into the potential for these very dark practices. A lot of people would connect that to things like, the pizza delivery boy, right? The pizza delivery guy, those sorts of things. The other thing that I think is there's a potential here with this, with the South Node in Scorpio and then the True Node in Taurus, also has to do with other people's money, right? That's another thing that we have to pay attention to, because when we get into Scorpio, we're always dealing with other people's money. That's the nature of Scorpio. So the two are connected, right? You get these two nodes, they're connected. So one of the things that Biden has been talking about is, land for black farmers. Well, what is that? That's Taurus, right? That's land. Taurus is land. South Node in Scorpio. That's other people's money. Like, who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that program? That's also, I think, when we're going to get into the conversation around reparations. That's going to be a True Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio transit. It's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it is going to happen. So those are things that that we can theoretically look forward to. But again, when we get into fixed signs, it's not going to be that easy. People are not going to be willing to give up on certain things. So I actually am kind of looking forward to the switch of the nodes and just to see where it goes. Life we're on a journey right now, and are we on the Magical Mystery Tour or Her Satanic Majesty's Request? I'm not really sure. I think it's a little bit of both right now. But we're on a journey, and at the very least, I think the idea here is to find some level of amazement, irony, curiosity, wonder, like to just step back for a minute, and just to see, even if things are weird and kind of grotesque and not making a lot of sense, just step back and look at it for a minute and say, wow, this is really quite a fucking production we got going on here. This is like Fellini on acid, okay? So just every now and then, just step back and just see what's going on. And I guarantee you, like, it will come to an end. This bizarre time that we're in, with Klaus Schwab telling us that they have to disinfect the fucking internet, it's got to come to an end. But it needs to kind of come up. This absurdity, the surreality needs to come up. The whole idea is to not get attached to it. Do not get attached to it. Don't get attached to it. You got to find ways, because if you allow this stuff, these mutable energies to cling to you and latch onto you, it's not. By the time we get into that fixed energy with the True Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, they'll be locked in, right? It'll be locked in. So you want to kind of stay fluid, and you want to be able to surf through whatever tsunami of sewage that we're going through right now. It's just the way it is, right? And there are times where things aren't as bad as they might seem. Like, I got a lot of joy today out of riding that damn lawnmower, I have to say. And I looked out at that lawn. It's a big patch of grass. Like it's an acre. It's an acre of grass. I went out and mowed an acre of grass. And I sat there and I looked at that acre of grass and I said, that's a good looking acre of grass. It's very meditative. I got ideas for the show and everything. So, there's a lot to be thankful for here, even though there's a lot of high strange. And I hope that we've got a lot of kind of action with that Saturn in Aquarius. Jupiter's going to go retrograde and go back into Aquarius. And I hope you're making connections with people, because that's really important. This Jupiter transit through Aquarius, just what happened so quickly. But remember, we started off, 2021 really started off in 2020 with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. That energy is going to be moving through our collective for the next 20 years. So we get into Aquarius, we talk about groups, we talk about community, we talk about friends, we talk about people that become kind of intrinsic parts of our lives. And I hope you're doing that. I hope you're making those connections, whether they're online or offline. They're really important. And in my own life, I stated this, I had to find a new place to live. So it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to find a place to live. So I was looking at places outside of the area, maybe by 25 or 30 miles. And some of them were actually pretty nice places. But I chose to kind of stay closer to where I was because I'd made some friends. I'd been in this place for 3 years. And you cannot undersell really good friends and really good. You can't undersell it. These are valuable commodities during these times. So my advice would be to continue to make those bonds, and even if it's online or one or two people, and so many people are being forced to embrace kind of a non-nuclear family, like an extended family, and that's just the way it is because of what's happened with the carjack. Okay, let me get into the show because, and I have been talking astrology. So sometimes for a while I don't talk astrology. But when is this motherfucker going to talk some astrology? He came over here and listened to talk some fucking astrology. What is he talking about? He's talking about soccer. So I have talked about astrology. Checking that box. All right, so let's do a little invocation here, and I've got a pretty interesting show, I think. At least I think. All right, here we go. Dear blessed holy Mother, Father God, the great central sun within the universal light, which is the light of Yeshua Sananda Emmanuel, we ask that only the highest and best information, wisdom, and truth come through this channel at this time. And in so doing, we affirm and decree the qualities of humor, of irony, of paradox, of sincerity, a sincere heart. Let's embrace a little sincerity along with that humor, character and coherence, clarity, commitment, community, courage, compassion, empathy, and above all, love. We ask that any karmic residue be cleansed, purified, clarified, and removed from the stream at this time. Okay, so what are we going to get into tonight? All right, we're going to look at the chart of the moment. Of course, we're going to do that. We're going to see where the celestial bodies are, where the luminaries are. We're going to check that out. I was going to talk about astrology as a holistic system. And maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. But I decided not to make it like a main part of tonight's show. But I was thinking, so I'm doing this Tarot webinar, which we had the first class yesterday. And by the way, if you haven't signed up for it, you most certainly still can. I will show you the link here. Can I do screen share here? I don't know if I can do screen share in this. Oh shit, that is the one thing about, I don't know if I can do screen share. Damn, Sam. What is this over here? Oh. I don't know if I can do screen. I'd have to go through. I'd have to go through Zoom. Oh. Bummer, dude. Okay, so here, let me just put this link in here, just in case you guys. Oh man, that was such a bummer because I had a bunch of visuals tonight and everything. All right. Yeah, I just hit that stream live button. And usually we can do a little screen shareage. Let me do this. I'll just put the link in there. There we go. So one of the things that I was thinking about, what is this? It's my camera. Let me see. There's got to be a screen share thing inside of this. What is this? Chat. Damn, son. Stream. How about manage? What can I do to manage? I got the stream. Well, I guess I won't be getting any copyright strikes tonight, huh? All right, we got chat there, participants. Okay. Kids, I apologize. I apologize because I don't have access to screen share.